Hello. This is the engineering community showcase for the month of June. I think it was only 3 weeks ago that we have the showcase for May, and still there's a good week to go. So maybe this one is going to be a bit shorter, or I don't know. But in any case, let's have a look to the highlights of that team. So, Andre, do you want to start?
I'm probably going to start with Fabricator, which is the main task I'm working on, the system we want to switch most of our development infrastructure to. What's the status? So when it comes to operations, Chase, he's been mostly working on properly puppetizing it, so having a self-contained labs instance, fiddling with the Puppet module, wondering how to manage when we have a labs instance, how to define at which revision we're at right now and which revision we test on labs and stuff like this. Handling schema checks. Chase said this will probably take this week and maybe a few more days, but then we probably have an alpha instance running. But that's only referring to the operations part. Afterwards, the plan is taking a look at migrating accounts, which is a bit more complicated because we need to store them somewhere. Migrating accounts from Bugzilla, for example. So we have tickets in Bugzilla, we have accounts in Bugzilla. It's a chicken and egg problem because we need to store stuff somewhere. Chase has some ideas on this. But that's stuff that needs more discussion also with Mark of the operations team. And also looking at security stuff, which means restricting access to tickets. And this is also the area that Mukunda is working on in upstream, restricting access to tickets, to certain tickets, like security tickets. And SUL, OAuth, which latest status is doesn't yet work reliable, so there's more testing needed here. I must admit I don't know the exact status of the product or access restrictions, how far Mukunda is here, which made me realize that as we all three are remote people, we should probably really start from next week on to have regular meetings, to sync, and to identify the bottlenecks we're at. So that's basically a short update where we are right now. Questions, comments, criticism?
I think it's good.
So there's little hope that before the end of the month we actually see an instance up in production, still called alpha. Yeah, just saying, just quoting what Chase said in a moment of euphoria. I will be on holidays until the 5th, and he was pretty confident that I should see it by the time I'm back from holidays. So hopefully 1-2 weeks away from having a new Fabricator instance, which is going to be the one evolving, well, actually the alpha instance, something more in production already.
Yes. One more issue that might be worth to mention here is having OAuth SUL. There's kind of like the question is a bit, does the alpha instance also already require having access restrictions to certain tickets and by default to all tickets in a certain project? Because I think I want a bit more input by ops and probably also by Chris type how secure it is if we have unprivileged users on this alpha instance and kind of untested security or restriction rules in there. So, I mean, technically, we don't need SUL and these access restrictions necessarily at the same time, but I can imagine that some people might feel better if that's the case. So that's something to still sort out, just saying.
Well, as you can see, we are getting into more dull details, less aspirational as before, and this is only because we are now working closer to the real stuff. So hopefully in the next showcase, we'll have some shiny bits to show. But yeah, I think Andre is picking the right fights with Mukunda and Chase. And Chris and others that are helping, by the way. Anything else, Andre?
That's it, basically, to summarize Fabricator here. Anything else, I just have really small bits from my part. Like, there is another bug day today, triaging older tickets which have high priority set in Bugzilla for ages. Probably another PyWiki bots bug day in July, early July, and the plan, or I'm currently working on hopefully starting something like an exposed bug of the week with rotating development teams behind by, I guess, end of July, beginning of August. Needs a bit of preparation and like which team, which week, blah. But I think that's it from my side.
All right. In any case, we'll leave the shorter news later. Let's go for more big topics now. Guillaume?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this month there was a lot of blog posts and reports and things like that. So I think the only thing that is really worth showcasing is, no, that's not this one, is this. So you probably remember the old Wikimedia engineering portal on Mediawiki.org. So last month I added some more content, like the latest tech news and featured activity and the introduction of the latest monthly report. And so my goal this month was to make it well, not make my my eyes bleed. So yeah, I think it's prettier now. And I've also added this header, which is the same as the one that we use on Meta for tech news and tech ambassadors, with a few color changes. But basically, I'm going to update the template on Meta so that all these pages will be linked between each other. So hopefully that will increase the visibility of this portal and also increase the visibility of tech news, etc. So if you have ideas on how to make it prettier, I mean, there's a talk page, so feel free. And otherwise, the content is going to be mostly stable now. I mean, it will be updated automatically, but the big pieces are there. And one last thing that I'm working on is this, which is the status dashboard, which is similar to the tables that we have on the platform page and the features page, etc. Except that on this page we will have all the current activities. So if you're looking for what's happening in Wikimedia engineering right now, you can just peruse this page, and you don't have to go through each team hub. So I'm still making some tweaks on the layouts, etc. But this status dashboard will then be linked prominently from the Wikimedia engineering portal. And one last thing, I'm hoping to convince the community of Mediawiki.org to add a link to this portal from the sidebar, now that the content is mostly up to date and isn't too ugly. And that's mostly it for me, as far as showcaseable stuff goes.
Questions? Suman, I think you're muted.
Yes. Sumina?
I'm sorry, there are 2 or 3 levels of muting, and so I had to undo all of them. So the cone of silence has been unwrapped. I'm sorry. All I wanted to say is that the status dashboard looks really nice. It looks like something that can really end up being a useful overview for teams. You know, Fabricator, I think, is going to provide a certain kind of much more like granular micro level list of tasks and things on that level. But for things that can't be systematically aggregated as just a list of titles of ongoing tasks or something like that, and instead is more of a human written overview of, yay, what's up this month, what was up in the past month. I think that status dashboard is just visually so much more appealing than I think anything else I've seen in Wikimedia world to do that sort of thing. So I wanted to thank you for working on that.
And for your information, there's also a discussion in Fabricator about whether or not we should move some of the activity documentation to Fabricator once we have the production instance. So there are pros and cons. If you want to look at the discussion, I have the ticket number right here, I think. So it's where was it? Oh, so it's fab.wmflabs.org/T48, and that's the discussion about whether we should move project reporting, etc. So it's not decided, but yeah, we're still discussing it because there's just so much. I mean, I can do some stuff with Mediawiki Dark Magic, but we can do probably more stuff and more easily with Fabricator. So yeah, there are pros and cons. Feel free to look at the discussion and add other pros and cons if you have more.
All right. I also agree that this Wikimedia engineering page was not really, I mean, it was there and it was important just because it was the parent of many other pages, but in itself it was mostly static content and not always up to date. So now you made it something more relevant, a lot more relevant. So I think we have just to push it to the place it deserves. All right. Any other comments or questions for Guillaume? All right. Sumana, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So in May, in June, I finally got to make my performance guidelines official. You will notice that at the top of this page, no matter how hard you look, there is not a draft tag. Thank you for
increasing the font because I wasn't sure.
I'm going to zoom in real hard. No, okay, no, that's fine. That is a big thing for me, I think. We discovered that as I was writing these performance guidelines that we did not actually have shared expectations on a few things, like what a reasonable round-trip time is, or whether we should be thinking of our caches as persistence layers, and a few other things. So I'm really grateful for the process that went through and for the help that I got from a lot of people, especially Ori, in making that happen. But that is one of the big things that I would say that I accomplished in June that a lot of people can benefit from. Another is the architecture meetings. We are just continuing to build up momentum on this. We had a discussion of the grid system that helped some people understand what's going on there and help make progress on that. We had a lightning round of several RFCs that led to us making progress on a few different fronts. The security guidelines draft is progressing, and we have a lot more examples now and greater understanding of what we want to protect, and some things like, oh, what are the needs of third-party wikis that are different or entirely private wikis. And we had a discussion about revamping Mediawiki skin systems that led to approximately all of Montmorex's patches getting reviewed, so that's really great. The next one that we're having in June is about standardization and continued development of front-end libraries. That is tomorrow at 5:30 UTC in Wikimedia office. I'm not actually leading that, Eric is, but it still is part of this continuing conversation. I'm just going to zoom in on the performance guidelines. Still no draft check, no. Okay, zoom out a little bit. The next things that I am working on are the security for developers and architecture guidelines. Security for developers, I've been getting a lot of help from Chris Stipe on this. We have some notes on the talk page, and we welcome more. There are some next steps where Chris is making a data flow diagram, and I'm polishing some prose and making examples better by tomorrow. The architecture guidelines are also proceeding at pace. Another thing that I'm working on is to tie all this together and make it easier for people to understand. I'm working with Moisied from Design to make poster versions of the main principles for all three of these main documents. And I'm working myself on doing the small amount of work necessary to turn them into proper tutorials. We've had security and performance tutorials in the past, but a somewhat stronger one will be better. And that's by mid-July, because in July I switch over to working on the Data and Developer Hub, and we have now a stronger understanding of what that's going to be, thanks to some conversations in San Francisco. Thank you, Kim, for causing those to be set up. We are going, that is something that I'll be beginning to talk about more in our meetings in July, but I wanted to bring it up. Today, I am at the open source conference that is called Open Source Bridge in Portland, Oregon. And I'll briefly stop screen sharing for just a second so that you can see that, for instance, we have Oregon cherries available to us as part of the breakfast, and so I've been enjoying that. I am presenting two different talks, both today. One with Liz Henry on the outreach program for women, what works and what's next, and one by myself called A Few Python Tips, which I actually presented last week in practice as a Wikimedia Tech Talk. I really appreciate that we have that facility available to us, that people like me who are about to go give technical talks at conferences can give them in practice to the Wikimedia community and thus benefit the Wikimedia community and also see what doesn't work and maybe cut some things, as I found out. And I have this week, this month, of course, as I have in since May 19th, been mentoring my intern, Frances Hokut, who, incidentally, is giving the Thursday keynote address here at Open Source Bridge. And this is her project on evaluating and improving Mediawiki Web API client libraries. She is now nearly done evaluating and writing to-do lists for all of the Python libraries and is next going to move on to, I believe, Perl. So that is what is up in the world of Sumia, and I am open to questions.
Do we get a sherry?
I have a cherry, that's all.
Well, I want to say that good documentation, it's a bit like quantum physics. So a good observation affects physics and good documentation affects software. So I'm very happy that by documenting properly our performance guidelines, actually you hit the limitations of our performance itself, like guidelines or not. So I think that this is a quite objective proof of success. And well, basically, sorry, we got a visitor. So I shared the link publicly. So maybe just to have other visitors joining us and maybe asking. So, hi, Baya. All right. Questions, comments for Sumana? All right. Rachel, do you want to comment
Sure.
activities this month?
Sure, let's see. Gonna screen share. Let's see. Oops. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm still keeping my progress on my Mediawiki talk page, but basically this is what I'm working on this month. So I'm still doing a big transition from admin to ECT. That's taking a good amount of time, and I'm working on tech days and the Wikimedia Hackathon. I can actually move Wikimedia Hackathon to unblocked now. Otherwise, you can see just a bunch of, I have a big backlog of stuff that I can work on in the future. There's nothing super exciting to comment on right now, except that we have the okay to move forward with a great venue for Tech Days. It's the Mission Bay Center. I think I talked about that with everyone before, but until it's finalized in a contract, I don't want to say that it's confirmed. Otherwise, if you have any questions about anything on here, just let me know.
Well, when Rachel says not too exciting, maybe it is not too exciting to confirm that we will have rooms for Wikimania Hackathon, but I was really excited when finally the organization would tell us, I mean, what rooms do we have and what's the capacity of each room. So yeah, in any case, thank you for chasing them.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, I'm just working with the Wikimedia UK team just to make sure the hackathon goes off well. They don't have a dedicated person on their end to speak up for the hackathon, so I'm trying to take on that role.
Yep. So something that we did during this month of June is basically I think, well, I'm sure I don't have any main responsibility on events. So now Rachel, who was already like doing most of the event work at the foundation and helping a lot with the engineering community team, now she is the official event coordinator for anything. So if you want to organize an event or you're interested in knowing more about the events we organize, Rachel is your main point. All right, questions, comments? Good. Let me show you. So this month we had our, oops, not this one. We had our quarterly review, and the importance of this quarterly review is there's two interesting bits. So first is that for the first time in a while, we started with numbers. This is something that we have been working on, metrics, but also, well, lately we got a new executive director, Laila, which is a person that really likes data and measure and contrast and analyze trends. So that was also a very good opportunity to just, you know, make the final push and push this data really at the beginning of our quarterly review. So we are still not quite sure whether this is the right data to look at or if it's too much, too little, like we're missing something. But at least we had some numbers. The presentation is available, so the slides are available here in this page. So the quarterly review, so you can look at those in more detail. But basically, we try to analyze what is the activity that we have, if it's growing, if it's diminishing, and also having a look at black spots in our activity, like I don't know which repositories are letting code contributions language longer, etc. Another interesting point about this quarterly review was
Okay, so there's a problem here because someone has muted Baya. I believe you muted the person who was presenting. That's actually not okay, Baya. But we still don't hear Kim.
So can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you, Kim.
So I was saying it was a test, and now we have results, so I will not publish this URL anymore. It was a try. Okay, I was here. I was saying that apart from the metrics, we also agreed on 3 top priorities for the team. One is one development platform, basically all the Fabricator work. A sane developer experience, which is basically starting with the developer hub, all this API documentation work, and also engage with established communities, which is still keeping attention to individual developers, hobbyists, but also work a lot more with established organizations, other open source projects, other organizations that are trying to work on different areas like diversity or specific communities for programming languages, etc. And these 3 topics are going to drive our activity basically in the next months. Probably 12 months. Let's see how long does it take to really address these 3 topics. And this is a quite clear picture for all of us. So in case of doubt, we know where to focus. So any questions about this? Let me stop sharing.